welcome back, everybody, to the Cats Coverage Basketball Podcast. Fellas, it's March. Well, it's been March, but things are really setting into reality right now. SEC tournaments this week. So this, right now is Monday night, 7:15 at night, 7:20 at night. We are less than 3 days, or we're actually right around 3 days until Kentucky tips off first. We don't know who. The winner of Oklahoma and Georgia right now, they play Wednesday night in that last game. Kentucky plays Thursday night in that last game. Fellas, we were expecting Kentucky to be an 8 seed. It's what we kind of thought that was the betting favorite for the last week or so, maybe even 2 weeks. And then with a big win, we're getting top 15 wins, a dime a dozen with Mark Pope. Kentucky gets their 8th top 15 win of the season at Missouri. Sold out environment, 15,000 people at Mizzou. They were 18-1 on that court this year, 18-1. And Kentucky hands them their second loss on senior day, spoil their senior day. And they do it a little different. They do it after the game. We did ours before, which makes sense. So they just got beat by Kentucky, and these seniors who have been there for 4 years plus, fans are leaving out. Fans aren't happy, and they're honoring their seniors after they just got beat in their last game on that court. Kentucky came to town and ruined it. We got to flex a little bit on that. But, guys, it's March, and I couldn't be more excited. Mike, let's throw it to you. Quick takes on or not quick takes, but your takes on Mizzou.
Yeah, so Michigan State does it the same way, actually. They do it after. And I like that because it just gives them extra motivation to go out there and get a win, right? You don't want to make your senior day sad. So you go out there and ball out. And that's what Michigan State did yesterday. Go green, beat Michigan, sent them lame nerds back to the library, and got the dub on senior day. So Michigan State, actually, not to brag, but they normally win on senior day. So it's a good tradition. There was once they lost with Draymond Green, and it was devastating because he's obviously a legendary Spartan. And so it was a bummer that that they lost on his. But yeah, I think it's a cool tradition, but I'm kind of in the minority there. But yeah, good win for the boys. Good for them to get their big game swagger back, win a big game against a highly ranked team, even though it's not quite the same. But they lost their last couple big games, the Bama and the Auburn. So it's good for them to get another good win headed in the postseason play.
Tim,
massive win. Probably one of the better SEC schools that they could have faced there at the end of the season. Just how hot they are, and I mean, Carr, in my opinion, was probably the star of the show. I know Owe, had the most amount of points for the team, but just Carr was so good on defense. Tracy, you're talking about how he did so much that didn't really show up on the box or on the box score at all. And yeah, I mean, if we can get that productivity from him going into March, man, it's going to be fun.
Well, a lot of guys stepped up. Before we get into that, I want to say the final score was 91-83. I forgot to include that in there. And as we were going through the top 15 wins, I wanted to kind of run through that list real quickly. So I've got this list of – so kind of looking back, Kentucky tied the all-time record for most 15 wins, top 15 wins in a season, tying 92 Duke. I've got the list right. 92-93 Indiana, and then the Duke team from 1978-79. So really the last team to do it in, do some quick math, 30 years, 32 years, if I'm doing that right, to have that many top 15 wins. This is not to toot our own horn, crazy enough, this is the first year of Mark Pope era. And as we said months ago, maybe his worst team. And what we meant by that is you don't have the top major recruits from high school. We just got to quickly throw together the roster. You expect his rosters to be more talented as the years go on. But Kentucky got a win over number 6 Duke, number 7 Gonzaga, number 6 Florida, win at number 14 Mississippi State, win over number 11 Texas A&M, win at number 8 Tennessee, win over number 5 Tennessee, and win number 15 over number 15 Missouri. So major wins to kind of stack the resume. I know they've lost some. Sorry, just now seeing all this. Did y'all? I know we can.
No, we're good. And the point with that stat, Trace, which I was confused about at first, that's in the regular season. So 8 wins over top 15 ranked teams in the regular season. Only 2 others have done that. So that's tying the college program record. The Kentucky has done it before in an entire season, including postseason play. Was it the 96 or the 98 team did it? And they won it all. They had 8 wins over ranked teams. I think I actually have it up here. They did it in 98 and went on to win the title. So that was for an entire season, 8 wins against top 15 ranked teams. So it's pretty impressive to do that in the regular season alone, because you'd think, okay, if you're going to have a deep postseason run, you're going to beat those teams in the tournament. So that could go up to 9 or 10, if they get a couple postseason wins. We'll see. But, yeah, pretty impressive record. That's what I did my sidebar on Fox tonight. And Pope talked about it. And then, a couple other things like, Kobe Bray, Andrew Carr were both talking about, just how tough the SEC was all year. So to get another SEC win was good. Their defense was a little bit better, even though they still gave up 83 points. I'm trying to think what else were some of those post-game points as I listened to the press conference. But, yeah, it was just a solid win. I mean, nothing crazy. I don't think them winning that game is like, oh, now they're going to go win the SEC tournament. Like that, it wasn't that kind of crazy, like, oh, the Cats are favorite in March, like not that, but it was like, okay, they're comfortable now.
Yeah.
They can win a big game without Jackson Robinson now. They kind of have the big game swagger back and maybe go out there and make some noise, because I don't like playing Bama. I don't like that. I think if I were you guys, I would have rather had Florida or Tennessee matched up. So now you got to play Bama on Friday if you win Thursday. I know you're going to run through the bracket, Trace, but a little worried about that, but they lost to them twice. Both games were kind of close. They got a puncher's chance to beat them down there, and that would be pretty cool to make it to the semis on Saturday.
So you both make a great point. It kind of helps me segue to my point is, did it without Jackson Robinson, what you said, Michael, and Tim, what you said about Andrew Carr. We had a lot of guys really, really step up against Missouri. We had a combined 14 points from Colin Chandler, Trent Noah, Travis Perry. 14 points. I mean, Jackson Robinson was getting right around that a game. So in a way, without Jackson Robinson, you kind of, somewhat replace his production. You don't lose that production entirely. So that helps out Colin Chandler. You're getting a whole amount of effort from him in production that we're not quite used to. We're not factored in. You don't go into a game expecting to have that. He's getting better and better. His confidence is growing. This stretch of his reps without Jackson Robinson is only going to build him more and more for next year. And then Tim, kind of like what you were saying, Andrew Carr. He did finish with like 16 and 12, but like that was one of his best games of the season. He said in the post-game comments, he said, I'm at 100%. Like he didn't say those exact words, but he's like, I felt amazing. I felt great. Let's go. So unofficially at 100%. You need that going forward. Jackson Robinson, Lamont Butler's right there at 100%. He might, close enough. Let's hope they both survive Nashville. But we had guys stepped up. Kobe Bray had 17 points, and I've been saying for a while how different he is away from Rupp, and that held true for a while. But finally, he made me look like a liar there, and played great down at Missouri. Had 17 points. I think he had 3 3-pointers. 2 of those threes were like dog 3-pointers. Like he had a guy in his face and just was like, okay, let me get a little step on you, pull back and hit it deep threes. Aggressive. I've been begging him to be aggressive, and you have to have that. Without one of your stars of Jackson Robinson, I've said this, Kobe Bray has got to be that guy. The other stuff's extra that we get from Chandler, Noah. We still need that, but like we've got to have you consistent, Kobe Bray, going through here. We've got to have you with more than 12 the rest of the way out. Otherwise, you're putting too much on the other guys. Otega Owe, he gave us 22 points. I think it was a game high. I think it's okay to assume you're going to get over 15 from Otega Owe. That he's going to put up the most points the whole way, but like he needs some help. He can't get 25 a game. You shouldn't ask for him to get 25 a game. Michael, again, also kind of what you said, another point I do agree with. That was a great win, but it didn't change my perspective of let's go win a title. I made my case last week of what I felt about this team and how far I think we'll go. Again, would love to be wrong, but like I think we're going to go down to SEC tournament, win the first game. It feels pretty comfortable now. Can't take that for granted. We ain't done that since the 2022 season. And if you're going to count in Nashville, the 2019 season, because our win was in Tampa, but I'm excited, man. I haven't. We've got our, Mark. We've got our team. We don't have Jackson Robinson, but Mark Pope said that we've got a game plan now. We know who's going to be on the roster and who's going to be in the game for these, and it helps you kind of scout for these teams that you're facing. I'm excited, man. So I know we're a couple days away, but like things feel good right now. Like we know who we got, and I'm ready to roll. I left y'all speechless. That good of a take. I left y'all speechless. Wow.
I was waiting on Timo.
Timo, you want?
My bad. I mean, I'm fully sorry. My mind's kind of all jumbled with the Twitter issue we were having, but no. I mean, yeah. I mean, it seriously is such a great win, and even though like we didn't have Butler there for a bit, and then we didn't have Jackson there for a little bit, I still think that was like super beneficial time for our bench to really, step up, get those plays going, and get more productivity just coming off that bench. And so now that we don't have Jackson back, we did for a little bit, but got Butler back, Carr's pretty much fully back to healthy. Everybody's playing their best basketball, arguably. I mean, Perry hasn't too much, but Colin Chandler's really stepped up. Ansley Almanor's maybe take a little bit of a dip, but I mean, everybody's just kind of backing each other up and doing a good job if they're out.
Yeah, Ansley's been kind of a ghost outside of the LSU game, knocking down some shots on senior night. But yeah, they look good. I think Lamont looks good. I don't know about his jumper though. I just with that big brace, that brace is huge. I don't know if he could knock down a bunch of threes like he did in that Louisville game. Like I just don't know. Maybe he'll hit one or two, but you're not going to be able to count on that. So, yeah, Kobe's going to have to give you some outside shooting. And because, Carr will maybe get you one. Amari's not getting you anything. Brandon maybe one. Like Ortega, hit a couple at Missouri, but that could go either way. So maybe their outside shooting will lack a little bit, but they're doing a good job of scoring inside the three-point line.
Yeah.
Their mid-range game's okay, but they're getting to the cup. Ortega away. I know this was probably going to be one of your points, Trace. Ortega getting second team All SEC announced today. He's a dog. What do you guys think about Amari?
Oh, getting snubs. I think you can make the case for him to be somewhere in that mix for sure. I think he's been great, especially the last half of the season. I'm leaning on snub.
I will say I think Condon is better than him. He's much better offensively. He's got a more complete offensive game. Amari's a better defender, and obviously he's a great rebounder. But
I was going to ask who was ahead of him.
Yeah,
so
Condon and then just one big really on each team. The South Carolina dude, Broyles, something, and then Janai obviously on the first team. But yeah, there aren't a lot of bigs, and so you kind of have to give it to Condon. Condon's just a better player, but so I was a little bummed out there. And then maybe him getting on the all defensive team, but I don't know. Obviously, he did a great job shutting down Janai Broome in that Auburn game, but there have been some other games where like Amari's defense is just like good, okay. It's not great. It's not like you're the best defensive big in the conference. Like I don't see that either. So yeah, I was a little bummed out for him. It would have been nice for him to get one because he is a really good player and has been fantastic in SEC play, really. But I'm not going to go out there and say he was snubbed, really.
Michael, I want to start with you. Tim, I'll give you a second to.
I'm sorry. I do want to say Lamont Butler 100% should have been on the all defensive team if he was healthy all year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without a doubt. Like, him, Zakai Ziegler was defensive player of the year, and he was on the all defensive team. But, like, Lamont is as good defending at the three-point line. Like, 100% staying on guys, moving laterally, picking pockets, getting steals. Like, he is for sure one of the 5 best defensive players in the conference. So that was a little bummer that he, missed games and didn't get that nod either. But
injuries, man, injuries are going to cap this team just a little bit. But
yeah, because Jackson would have been Jackson could have been a third teamer. The way he was scoring, like getting 20 points. Yeah, like third team All SEC. Like if he kept scoring the way he was, he finally hit a groove, like 20 points in 3 games, conference games. So he would have got a nod too. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer that only one player's on there, but I think it's probably accurate.
So as of right now, it's Monday night. We don't know who we're playing. It's going to either be 6 seed Georgia, or I'm sorry, 11 seed Georgia or 14th seed Oklahoma. Who would you all kind of rather want? Who would you all rather play between those two? Like, who are you going to root to win in that? I think if you made me pick today, I'm going with Georgia. I think we just kind of was an early loss, on the road. I think it was one of the first 2 or 3, 4 road games coming off that little middle of the year. That Ohio State losses right before that. It was kind of like that little first stretch of a grind of a bunch of games at once. Every team has those each year, and I feel like Georgia just got the best of us in that crazy environment. If I'm not mistaken, I know we had Clemson, but like in terms of on the road SEC environments, I think Georgia was first.
I think that was the second conference game because you beat Florida that Saturday, and then beat Florida at home. Then went to Georgia that next game, I think.
And so like there's one argument, it's like, okay, well, these are veterans, they shouldn't get rattled. I agree, but at the same time, it's your first one you've had this season on the road at least. And so I think just that environment. We got Andrew Carr wasn't fully healthy. I think we just got kind of beat up in the post. Andrew Carr kind of got dominated. I think we just dropped the ball there with Georgia. I think we play them again. I'm confident we beat Georgia. I'm confident we beat Oklahoma too, but like, again, being on the road, teams play up, the environment gets you up, and you only beat them by 1 because Otega had to go off. I feel like you play that game at Rupp, you beat them pretty comfortably as well. So with this being neutral, I'm honestly not worried about Georgia or Oklahoma. Let's take either of them. But like, as of today, I think I would rather have Georgia. I just feel like they got, I hate to say it, but they got not lucky, but like that, we just dropped the ball. We did not play to our standard at all, not even close. We played down as a team. If you had to kind of pick today on Monday, 3 days out, who would you rather us face in the first round?
Yeah, I'd probably rather play Georgia just because Fears is a little scary. Like Oklahoma has some guys that can put up shots. Yeah, you almost lost, but you didn't have Lamont Butler, right? Yeah, he was out that game, as well as Jackson.
Were they both? I can't remember. That makes sense. That sounds right.
And so yeah, I don't think Lamont played in that game. It was just Otega like going crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe that was Lamont's first game back, but he got in foul trouble, right? And then Jackson was out. I can't remember exactly, but I know that it was just Otega at the end. Then obviously he went bonkers in the second half. So yeah, but I don't know. Georgia's playing well too. Mike White's good coach, and they got some guys. So, but yeah, I think you're going to win either of those.
You should.
I think you'll beat Georgia. I think you'll beat Georgia, get revenge there. Maybe Oklahoma could have another crazy game on you and knock you off. So I would probably roll Georgia.
You should. Without Robinson, you still should. Tim, did you say you were looking that up?
Yeah, I was trying to find that. Yeah, Jax, we're talking about Oklahoma.
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia. No.
Well, no, I'm talking about Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah.
I was talking about in that Oklahoma game, Lamont had just come back. And
I thought we was talking Georgia. Yeah, you're right.
No,
that was okay.
Jackson didn't play, I don't think. And
yeah,
Lamont,
12 minutes.
Who?
Jax.
First half, and
then got hurt.
Yeah.
Then got hurt again.
Clear. With Georgia.
And then Lamont played his first game back, right? But then fouled out.
Yeah, that's exactly right for Oklahoma for sure.
Yeah.
The Georgia one was so long ago, I do not remember. I know that was
everyone was healthy for Georgia, besides Kerr, obviously, but everyone was in there for Georgia. They just laid an egg. Georgia just wanted it more. They were just more physical. That was that stretch of the season where the Cats were horrible on the offensive glass, and so Georgia just got like a million offensive rebounds and just beat. It wasn't even a high scoring game. I think it was like Georgia was only in the 70s.
It was like I think they were low 80, and then we had 68.
Yeah, I think you were in the 60s. Yeah, 82, 68 or something.
Yeah.
Like one of those where, you just weren't in it. They just wanted it more. But I think you'll get revenge there.
Yeah. Tim, who you choosing? Who would you rather play in the first round of the SEC tournament?
I mean, the one thing that kind of pulls me away from wanting to say Georgia is that they just got a win over Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Not that long ago, but I mean it's the SEC. There's not going to be really any easy team that you'll be facing. So I would probably say Georgia. I agree with what Michael was saying. Fears that he could just be a monster in that tournament, and I just with how much of just like an awful game Georgia was, I want us to go up against them again and get a good game out of them,
Yeah.
just selfishly. But yeah, I would say Georgia. Their physicality does scare me a little bit, but I still would probably take them
Also,
over
Could
Oklahoma.
you
also,
imagine if it's good that you got the 8, so you don't have to play Auburn, but Arkansas got the 9. Man, how cool would it have been at 8-9 to play Arkansas? That would have been
no,
awesome.
no.
But yes, that would have been so fun. You get revenge on Cal.
But that would be a lot of adrenaline for that game. But if you lost to Cal for a second time, the first one being on your court, and the second one being in a tournament just today, he just said, "I do not care about the SEC tournament." That's hard to recover from. I do not want to think of that being a possible. Yes, if you win, you can beat them by 15 and poop on them right there in front of everybody. Just put a beating on them. Yes, but like that, I'm not willing to take that risk. I still do not think Arkansas is the better team. But if you lost, man, we would never hear the end of it.
I don't think you would lose.
I don't either. But if you did,
There was
that's
just
too much
in that game. There was too much going on. Cal's returned the rub. Everyone was just worked up. There were too many emotions for everybody. That overwhelmed them, and they just weren't ready to play.
Yeah.
But you give them another chance on a neutral court, you're gonna be fine.
You should. What did y'all think of his comments? Did you see the clip of Cal?
I actually didn't see it.
He said, exact word for word, "I do not care about the SEC tournament." And then I'm paraphrasing from here on out. He's like, "I just want our team to play better and play well to get a better seating for the actual tournament. But I do not care about the SEC tournament." What do you think?
Well, they're in, right? They're in after beating Mississippi State on Saturday. So they're in the big dance no matter what, even though a loss to South Carolina would be pretty yucky. But they'll win that game. They're in. For them to turn it around after losing Boogie, it's pretty crazy. Boogie Flan's a good player. Yeah. And they just play so much better without him. They call him a ball hog, whatever. Whatever happened there, DJ just unlocked so much in his game. And he just dropped 20-something points over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And they won a bunch of these games without Adu. They're kind of scary. I'm not even going to cap. They're actually a good team. Maybe they're rolling. And Adu and DJ are both really good with John L. And if Z's hitting threes, they're scary. But I think you would beat them again. And it would have been so much fun to see them play again. But it's good you're not the 8 because then you don't have to play Auburn, even though Bama just beat Auburn. So
let me give you the opposite side of it. The hater side of it, the hater side. With the field of 64 and you get the 4 playing games for the field of 68 now, what if from the hater side of it, Arkansas had 68 teams to be in, there's 68 teams that have a chance to get in the tournament with the 4 playing games. And then, that roster, even without Boogie Flan, you can only make between 64 and 68. You got to get in the playing games. That's it. I feel like they just reached the floor. I'm still not there to say this last month's been a success by Cal at all. I'm you did what you were supposed to and barely.
Yeah, but no, they're not going to be a playing team. They're the 9 seed.
I saw that.
Playing seed would be Georgia or
oh, maybe I'm off on that.
Maybe Vandy, but I think Vandy's pretty comfortably in.
I could have swore maybe 2 weeks ago Arkansas was right on the bubble. Are they not?
But now they've won basically all their games, and they just beat Mississippi State to close the regular season. They're the 9 seed in the best conference in the nation. They're fine. It seems like Arkansas, Mississippi State's in. I think Vandy's in with their big wins, and then Georgia's probably in too. So that's 12. 13 is Texas. That's where it gets iffy. So if you're going to put an SEC team in a play-in game, a 10-10 on Tuesday, then maybe it's Texas at 13. But Arkansas's the 9. They're not in a play-in game. I think Oklahoma at 14, they're going to have to beat Georgia to make the dance. And Texas is probably going to have to beat Vandy to make the dance. So if they both win their first round games, maybe they get in. Maybe that's 14 teams, which probably isn't going to happen. I think they're going to keep Oklahoma out. That's kind of what it seems like from Lenardi. But if Oklahoma beats Georgia, then maybe that changes.
So before we really, I'm glad we're there. I do want to get into the SEC tournament bracket and talk about that in just a minute. But kind of just before we kind of dip, because we're gonna have before we kind of break it into all postseason. I think we do need to give our due diligence and kind of just give our overall thoughts of the first year of Mark Pope era. I feel like I can't remember if we've done this yet on the podcast or if I did it off the podcast or not. But before I get into, have we already done this on air before or no?
I think we've talked a lot about it. It really just depends on what they do in March. But either way, you give them credit. They've won all these big games, and that'll.
So how do you all feel about that? 21-10. You've got some clinkers, you got some duds in there, and you got some elite wins as well. 10-8 in the hardest conference. I think 5-3, or maybe it's 4-3. I'm not sure if it was just before Missouri or after against the. No, never mind. I'm getting those stats mixed up. But you have really elite wins, and
4-3 against the top 5 teams in the conference. Missouri's not one of them. Yeah, that was the tiebreaker because you beat Tennessee twice, you beat Florida once, and you beat A&M once. So that's 4 wins versus you lost to Auburn, you lost to Bama twice. So 4-3 against the top 5 seeds. I saw that stat. That was the tiebreaker. So you're right. 4-3.
So if you had to give like a letter grade of the first regular season of the Mark Pope era, I know if you do nothing in the postseason, this all kind of gets forgotten, and most of it does, and that's what gets remembered. But like right now, the regular season's over 21-10, 8 top 15 wins, 15-3 at home, something of that sort, and 10-8 in the hardest conference. Factoring in injuries, not having having 7 games of your 31 with the full roster, and just injuries all year long. I'll bring it back to me. I'll go Michael, Tim, then back to me. Michael, what would be your letter grade of the first regular season of the Mark Pope era?
I'd say a B. B plus, maybe. I mean, a lot of big wins, but you still lost 10 games. 10 games a lot. For you to be a 3 seed, they're still projecting UK as a 3 seed in the tournament with 10 losses. Like, I get it. You have all these big wins, but you also have 10 losses. Like, come on, we're putting a 10-loss team as a 3 seed. So I don't know about that, but B plus. He did a great job, but if he goes one and done in the tournament, then it really doesn't matter because there's going to be some heat on him because despite the injuries, like you only have 2 guys out.
No grace period for him at all? In terms of having the heat on him, no grace period for you?
You get upset by a 14 seed or 13 seed if you're
yeah. I'm saying like
grace period? Yeah. This is Kentucky. Trace, this is Kentucky.
I'm talking about
banners. This is 8 banners. We hate banners. You lose the first round?
Misinterpreted me.
No grace. You got 10 of your 12 players healthy. Yeah. You got 2 out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both guards. Tough, sucks, but you know what? You got 10 out of 12 guys healthy. If you can't beat a 13 seed or a 14 seed, that's a failure. But for the regular season, yeah, B plus.
Okay, Tim, what about you?
Regular season, I'm giving it A minus. 10 losses. I don't think they deserve a 3 seed. Like Michael's saying, a 10-loss team as a 3 seed is pretty ridiculous. But 10 losses, a lot of those being in conference, toughest conference probably in the history of college basketball. Some are putting it. And there were some duds, but I'm definitely going to remember the big wins more than those duds. I mean, they were just significant, and there were 2 other teams that, what was it? 8 top 15 wins.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Only 2 other teams in history to ever to do that. And also taking into account just how quick of a turnaround that he got on board, got these players, and then boom, you're playing basketball together.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it an A minus. It's just I think the positives overwhelmingly kind of look over those negatives, those bad.
Yeah,
losses.
I was thinking A minus, but to not get a top 4 seed, like if you had got a double bye, I would have said A for sure, but because you still only got 1 bye, so I'll say B plus.
Tim, I mean, you were pretty spot on to what I was going to say. A minus, lock it in. I was thinking that as soon as we started this conversation, and Tim, a lot of your points I really agree with because, when you look back at the season, and at least how I think that I'm going to see it in the future, I'm going to remember these these top 15 wins. You could win these major games, and I'm always going to remember those handful of like duds. I know we have 10 losses, but the handful of like, come on, how'd you lose that? If you could just won those games, how different this, say if it was 5 of those 10 losses, this team would be 26-5. You know what I'm saying? Like they're that close to doing something like that, but they didn't. So I can't give them credit for that. 21-10. You get at least one of the buys for the SEC tournament. I think why the Lenardi is putting them as a top 4 seed is because of those big wins. And then also you just factor in the injuries. I remember where we were back in April. We didn't have a roster, and just all that rush put together. Like, I would love to argue that another coach would have done less in that time frame. Hey man, we didn't have time to put a roster together. Man, these guys have no chemistry. They've never played all this, blah blah blah. And they made something out of it. It wasn't as good as it could have been, maxed out to his full potential, but it was great in my opinion. And they did a lot. I think they accomplished more than what we thought they would, at least in terms of my view. So A- is where I'm going to say that as well. You were that close to having an A. A+ is just, I don't know. There's a lot of things that would have been right, but anyways, you're that close to me for having A-. I'm going with it. I'm happy with how the first year went. I'm not overly excited. I'm happy. I do want to kind of also, while we're kind of in this moment, and sorry, I don't want to I'll go first. I don't just throw it on you, Michael. I want to kind of, so we can keep this for the history books and we go back and remember our thoughts of what would be like your most 3 memorable wins this year, and then also like the worst loss. And not to throw it on you, I'll go first. Number 1 was Duke. I remember that night, just how special it was. And this is solely the only reason why I say this. I remember we got the team together. They looked great. They put up hundreds of points in the non-conference, but then like, okay, you're playing a legit team, and you knock off a top 6 opponent on your first attempt. And that night really, like, from a fan point of it, set into me. I'm like, wow, okay, we've got a chance with this guy. Like this guy, now he's done it. He at least one game, but we've done it. There's more to come, and he ended up getting 8 more of those. But that'd probably be my most memorable. I would say my second one's just off the cuff recency bias, the Oklahoma win. Otega Owe, just my favorite player on this team. That night was special. Third win. I think my third one would probably be Tennessee at home. Again, I'm not looking at a schedule either, so I know y'all are going to bring up one that I'm like, yeah, that's it. But right now, that's going to be my top 3: Duke, Oklahoma, and Tennessee at home. That just was I'm sorry, Tennessee on the road. Let me correct myself. Tennessee on the road. That night was fun. Then the biggest loss for me was going to be Ohio State, solely because we made the trip. The whole day. That's you're there, the whole experience, and I walked out away from that game. I'm like, what? 20 points, and this team's not good, and Aaron Bradshaw, and like in New York, and like y'all just like those first major loss. I know Clemson was before. But that's kind of where I'm going with, off the cuff. No schedule to see. Michael, what about you, man?
Duke win for sure. I'm putting the Louisville win in there.
Okay.
Louisville's good.
Yeah.
Like they're top 15 now. They weren't at the time, so it doesn't count in the stat, but they're good. You could say, oh, they're playing nobody, the ACC's trash, but like they're beating who they have in front of them, and they are like 26 and like 6 or something. Like they're really good.
The Revival.
So, and then the third win, I think that Florida win was pretty awesome, but you kind of have to go Tennessee. Winning at Tennessee, because who didn't play in that one? One of them didn't play. I think Jackson played in that game.
So at Tennessee, Jackson played, Butler did not.
So, yeah.
At home.
No Butler. And then the worst loss, come on.
Who?
Come on. Trace, you know this.
I do know. Hold on. Man, all these games blend in. Tell me. Oh, Arkansas. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
You let Cal come back in here, man. That one was the worst.
They had the game of their season, man. Let me tell you.
Even though, as I said, Arkansas is good. Like Ohio State for sure, because they're not a tournament team. That's like on paper the worst loss, but come on.
Tim, our co-host on here he gave Louisville props and he gave Arkansas props, man. We got an op inside our group.
I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with Michael. I mean, Louisville's a good team, and
real,
whatever.
Man.
Yeah. So for my 3, I definitely have Duke in there. But I know I still remember that night to this day. I loved the Gonzaga game. I know Gonzaga's not good right now, but their comeback and just it's beginning of the season, they just beat Duke. Let's see, they just came up. Okay, so that was just after the Clemson loss, so they needed a big game to bounce back from, and
no Butler either.
Yep. Oh yeah.
First game without him.
Yeah, and that was such a great game. Just that comeback. I still want to go back and rewatch that second half.
And overtime.
And overtime.
I think it was 16 points in that second half. Like, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Tim, but that night was. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a good night.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm kind of torn between. I'll say Florida because I was leaning Florida, in the first place, just with how great our offense was that game. But Michael convinced me pretty good with the Louisville game. Butler's performance was 33 points, 6 for 6 from 3.
Crazy.
Insane.
Perfect from the field. Right?
Yeah.
10 from the field.
Yeah. I can't remember how many threes he had.
6.
It was 6?
You made the point he hit 7 in all the games combined before, and he hit 6 that night.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know how I remember that, but you brought up a good point that night, that podcast.
Worst loss. Man. I don't know, man, because Arkansas is awful, but just personally, selfishly, it has to be Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, we made that trip out there. We did all these fun activities that were fun, but the highlight of the trip was that game. That's why we were out there. Yeah. And just to throw up a stinker, and we made like 17 total shots. Awful.
Egg.
Well, part of it too is like for anyone watching this that hasn't really went to a road game, like it's different. You're so soaked into it and in it you're traveling, and then that feeling when you get in an opposing arena. Yeah, Kentucky Travel is the best out of any fan base. That's the most you're going to have on the road of any fan base, but like you're still outnumbered. I mean, you're just unless it's Vandy or something, you're still outnumbered. So you go in there and you're like, okay, like oddly, weirdly, you feel a part of the team. Like I'm going in this war zone with my guys from back home, X amount of hours and hundreds of miles back, and then all the experiences and just like the money and time you put into it, usually days of traveling for it, and yeah, you take it to heart more. At least I do, and so that's why the Ohio State one sticks with me too, man, because of the whole trip, New York and Christmas, and like that was the first like major headline game that I can remember. I think of the season, right? If I remember that right, like first, I mean not Ohio State, but like the CBS Sports Classic. Like first, we had Duke and stuff, but like it was the second tournament, early tournament of the year, But yeah, Tim, I'm glad you brought up the Gonzaga because that would have probably been my 4th for sure. That second half comeback was like cold chills. Like that moment I remember at halftime, like we're losing this game, man. Like, is this what we're doing? And to go in overtime the way they did it, man, I would love to go back and watch that game too. It was fun.
Oh yeah.
Before we break it down, and I'm ready to hear all your thoughts about the SEC tournament because it's about to happen. I do want to kind of tell you all the quick the betting odds for the win the SEC tournament. If you got any thoughts about it, cut me off. So right now, the favorite to win the SEC tournament, Auburn, plus 150. Michael, who's second?
Bama. It's got to be Bama.
Got to be. It should be. Well, DraftKings says otherwise, and I'm right there with you. Florida plus 270. Florida's second to win. Bama's right there at third. I would have said the same thing. Bama's second. Bama's plus 425.
425?
Yeah, you can maybe make some money there. Auburn plus 150. Florida plus 270, Bama plus 425, Tennessee plus 600. I mean, I don't know. And then a big drop from Tennessee at 4th to Kentucky at 5th. Well, okay, let me just ask you. I don't know. We've not really talked about this, I don't think, about how much you like betting if y'all do any. But I want to hear what y'all think. If you don't already know, what would you say Kentucky's odds are for the SEC tournament to win it? Like, what would be their betting odds if you had to guess without looking?
It's not all the way down to like 12-1, is it?
Tim, any thoughts on it?
It might not be that. What'd you say Tennessee was plus 600?
600.
Say, I don't know. It might be around that range.
1,200. That's what y'all
I'm
going
gonna
with?
pick double digits, at least 10-1.
1,900.
19.
1901. I mean, I'm not saying Kentucky's gonna do it, but like if you're a little drinking the big blue Kool-Aid, you can get good odds on that, man. I don't know. But anyways.
I'd pick Bama with those odds.
Yeah.
Like that, I was telling some guys this earlier today. Like they're scary. Like Sears, Nelson, Phylon, Youngblood, Diabate, like those guys are good. Like that's a scary team.
They put up some points.
And they just beat Auburn at Auburn. And we know, Trace, that's an extremely tough place to play. It's loud in there. It's small and loud. And they won. I think they're going to beat the Cats. And I think that they'll beat Florida on Saturday and then get a rematch with Auburn Sunday.
Well, let's get into it real quick. Y'all got the bracket. So let's start off with that first game. So we've got, let me go ahead and pull it up as well. Let's give our quick thoughts on each game. Obviously, for the people watching, I don't know, I can't break down the Texas film and I can't break down the South Carolina film, but let's give our quick thoughts. So we got the first game. Pull this up. Sorry, producing on it there.
Should be South Carolina, Arkansas. Yeah.
First game on Wednesday, 16 seed South Carolina, statistically in every facet, the worst team in the SEC against 9 seed Arkansas, John Calipari, who doesn't want to be there anyways. Let's get our winners. I'm picking. It's hard to predict a Cal to get a first round win in the SEC tournament, but surely, right? Like surely you've got to win this. If not, I'll be the first one to bring out the receipts online. Dude, you lost to South Carolina. So, yeah, I'm going with Arkansas. I'll give them the win. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I like South Carolina. I like that Murray Boyles. Colin Murray Boyles. Yeah, he's real good. 16, almost 17 a game. Pringle's good. Jacoby Wright. Yeah, they have a couple good players, but I'm going Arkansas for sure.
Arkansas. Tim?
Give me South Carolina.
Actually,
yep. And if they pull that win off, I'll be buying me a South Carolina hat.
Okay. I better see it right after that happens. I'm rooting for him, man. I'm a Gamecock fan on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Passing on to the second game of Wednesday, we've got 12 seed Vandy, 13 seed Texas. Texas has got that Trey Johnson guy who can put up all kinds of points. He's going to get drafted. I think that's his name.
Second team all SEC, right?
Yeah. He's solid. He's it's one of those, like Trey Young at Oklahoma, one of those individual guys that's just solid on a not very good team. I know they beat us, but let's skip over that. And 12 seed Vanderbilt. I think Vandy is the overall better team, like all around. You've got to hope Trey Johnson for Texas gets hot to, in my opinion, have a chance. And then, you're going to have somewhat of a home crowd for Vandy. I mean, they're closer. It's right down the road, miles from it versus Texas. So I'm going to go with Vandy. I think Vandy beats Texas in that second game. Michael?
Yeah, I like Tyler Nickel a lot. And then obviously I talked about Hogard, the former Michigan State point guard that's now on Vandy. Edwards, McLaughlin. Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing with Vandy is they win these big games, but they've also lost some games that they probably should have won if they were really going to be a good team. I think Texas is playing with some desperation. They need a win to get in. And yeah, who's the other guy? Tremont Mark. But yeah, Johnson's going to be the best player in the game, and they're desperate, so I'm going to pick them. I'm picking Texas.
Yeah, let's see. I was looking at their schedule because not South Carolina. I'm still in the last game. Vanderbilt, they're on a 2-game losing streak going into the tournament. I was going to check.
And while you're checking, Tim, I'll give you a second there to check. You would think that, I know Vandy doesn't really care about basketball a whole lot, but for this year they do. They've had great attendance because they're winning games at home, but like their home court is right down the road from where this arena is going to be at for the SEC tournament. You would think that they just by default have a solid home court advantage, not home court advantage, but a good turnout of fans. And it's not that case. It's never that case every year. So that always throws me off.
Tennessee's are great. Tennessee
and Kentucky and a little Auburn every year. And that's about it, man. Tennessee and Kentucky are by far 1 and 2, at least in my experiences.
I bet Bama fans will come up too.
You got a good team. You should.
Getting back to this game, I'm gonna take Vandy just because I mean they're on a 2-game losing streak. Texas is 1-1, but Vanderbilt it's almost a home court advantage for them, like you're saying, Trace. And I mean they're a pretty good team because they've like Michael was saying, they've won those big games, but they've thrown up some sinkers, similar to us in a way. But in their first matchup too, Vanderbilt won by I think it was like 12 points or so. So I'm gonna take Vandy.
Okay. Moving on to the third game of Wednesday night, LSU, Mississippi State. I just see this and immediately know who I'm picking. It's 10 seed Mississippi State, 15 seed LSU. LSU's a football school, man. They don't care about basketball. They just don't. And I felt like they just put like an awful performance at Rep Arena on our last home game of the year. I think it's not close. I think it's plus 15 at least. Mississippi State, I think they're going to win, beat LSU. Their point guard, I forget his name. He's been there all these years. He's
Hubbard.
What did you say?
Josh Hubbard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a football player. He's gonna. I think he'll have a night and fill himself and get the crowd going. And I think Mississippi State got that, and it's probably the easiest win in those first 3 games.
Yeah, Cam Matthews also got all SEC with Hubbard. So, yeah, Mississippi State all day.
Yeah, I got them.
Especially after losing to Arkansas, like they'll bounce back.
Yeah, you said you 2-10 Mississippi State.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the game of importance. Last game on Wednesday night. It's going to be a late game. It's 14 seed Oklahoma, 11 seed Georgia. Winner takes on 6 seed Kentucky. I know who we predicted earlier who we want to win, but who are we predicting to win? We've got Georgia and Oklahoma. Man, this one's actually kind of tough for me.
The best game of the first round.
Pretty even, so to say. I'm going, man. I'm actually torn between this. I'm going Oklahoma, but I think anything can happen. I'm going with Oklahoma to beat Georgia, and then that gives us under 24 hours to know who our opponent is. We find out, we go right to bed, get up and prepare for whatever opponent won. I think I'm going with Oklahoma.
Yeah, Asa Newell is really good. He was all SEC. He's going to be the best player on the floor, and sometimes I just kind of roll with who has the best player on the floor. Silas Demery is really good too. They rebound well. Santos Cyril, that's funny. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia.
Georgia.
Asa Newell's really good.
I'm going to say Georgia as well. And I was talking about their win over Florida earlier today, and after I said that, my dad, who's watching right now, said that they actually have won 4 in a row. So they're a streaky team right now. So I think they'll maintain that and into the tournament and probably pull out that win.
Yeah. Kind of moving on to the second round of the tournament. It's harder, with the one team having to win and get into this matchup. It's kind of hard to predict, but we can give it our best shot and we can end after this round. So Thursday, we've got Ole Miss versus the winner of South Carolina and Arkansas. 2 of us picked Arkansas. 1 of us picked South Carolina. So you think Ole Miss beats? I guess the argument here is, does Ole Miss beat Arkansas or South Carolina? I think
I'll go ahead and say they will beat South Carolina is what I was going to say. So, you had to question that. You could talk about Ole Miss, Arkansas, because I'll definitely take Ole Miss.
I'm taking Arkansas. They're hot.
I was going to say.
Well, no, sorry. Yeah, I should imply. I should have been more clear. You were talking about if Ole Miss would beat Arkansas or South Carolina. They would definitely not beat South Carolina. So we don't even have to talk about that matchup. I'm just saying we could talk about the matchup of Ole Miss, Arkansas.
So,
but I don't know. I would go Arkansas if they did make it to that round.
Man, part of me, Michael, I don't tell nobody, but I agree with you. And Tim, I don't tell nobody, I agree with you too. it's weird to say Cal's, a Calipari coach team's going to get 2 wins in the SEC tournament, but like, man, who gave them this easy schedule?
He did win like what, four of them? Like he won 4 or 5 of them.
Getting 5 draft picks on the team, but
but it's not like he's never won a game there. Like he won 4 or 5 of them.
But this, in my opinion, this coach, man, has lost his touch. But that's why I don't think he has it in him anymore. Now I'm going to contradict myself. Arkansas, man, because they gave Arkansas such an easy slate in the SEC tournament, man. Come on, a poor 9 seed gets this slate of a tournament, and they have to face number 1 Auburn until the end, where they'll eventually lose. Man, I'm kind of mad about that, but I think Arkansas. I picked them to win that first round. I think Arkansas beats Ole Miss. Cal last minute, his team plays better to get a better seeding. Exactly all he cares about, and he comes out on top of that. I think Ole Miss. Arkansas wins, gets waxed by Auburn in the next round. I think, Michael, I'm with you, man. Arkansas, if they get to that point. We got 3 more left. So Texas A&M, 5 seed Texas A&M playing their first game, which is the second game on Thursday night, versus the winner of Texas Vanderbilt. 2 of us picked Vandy. Michael, you did pick Texas. So going off that, the argument's going to be Texas A&M. So to you, Michael, and we'll go Michael, Tim, Trace. Texas A&M, does it beat either Texas or Vandy?
Yeah, I think A&M will win. They had a tough stretch there. Lost 4 in a row, but then beat Auburn on Tuesday. Who'd they beat on Saturday?
LSU.
Yeah. They got back on the right track. Beating Auburn's huge. So, yeah, I'm going to pick A&M. I think Texas will beat Vandy, but if Vandy wins, maybe I see Vandy like getting hot. Maybe I don't see Texas getting hot, but maybe Vandy would have a shot to beat A&M. But no, I think I'm going A&M either way.
Yeah, Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I got A&M too. Those losses that Michael mentioned, the 4 in a row there, those kind of stuck out to me. So I was kind of leaning the other way there for a bit, but then I forgot about that Auburn win. Just because Alabama recently beat them. I also forgot that Texas A&M took them down as well. So, definitely a good win. You want to get there at the end of the season. I think they'll probably pull out that win.
Yeah. Part of me, man, this has been the year of Vandy, football and basketball. Like, they took down number 1 Alabama in football and all that and had some great wins. And then in basketball, they knocked off 2 top 10 opponents in the back-to-back games, something like that. We are one of them. And it's just kind of like the year, like Vandy and football and basketball, where did y'all come to play at? Like, where have y'all been and just showed up? So part of me feels like it's the year for Vandy to make a little noise. But then logic sits in a little bit and reality does as well. And I think Texas A&M is still on paper the better team than Vandy. And I picked Vandy to win the first one. So I want to say Texas A&M as well. I think we all three pick Texas A&M to win there against whoever shows up there?
Yep.
Yeah, Texas A&M, I'm right there with y'all. 2 more games left. We got Missouri, the 3rd game on Thursday night, right before Kentucky plays. Missouri is a 7 seed. They're going to play the winner of 10 seed Mississippi State, 15 seed LSU. I won't keep throwing it on you, Michael. I'll go first here. 7 seed Missouri, outside of their last game when Kentucky spoiled their senior day, they've been playing pretty well. I'm going to pick Kentucky. And in the first round, I picked Mississippi State. So I'm going to say whoever gets in that game, Missouri beats them. As of right now, what I've got Missouri beating Mississippi State and advancing on. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I can't go chalk. I really think Mississippi State could knock them off. It's tough because they're both coming off losses, but Mississippi State will beat LSU. Missouri rocked Mississippi State in the regular season, 88-61 on February 1st. At Mississippi State, you lose by 27 on your home floor, and you're probably not the better team. So maybe I should give Missouri the edge, but I think I'll pick an upset here and go Mississippi State to get hot. Hubbard.
Yeah. Looking at their schedule, I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 5, Missouri. And we were the only ranked team that they had lost to. They lost at Arkansas, at Vandy, at Oklahoma, so all away games. And then, of course, Kentucky at home. Mississippi State, just pulling them up. Okay, they've won. They've also lost 4 of their last 5. So I'm just going to take that out of the equation, pick the team I think is better on paper, and just say Missouri. We'll probably pull that one out.
All right, likely the last one that we can pick. Otherwise we're making too far of a stretch with not knowing who's playing. They're going to get crazy off of this. So really the last realistic game that we can pick, the last game, late game after 9:30 on Thursday night when the vibes are flowing. March really sets in at that point. Man, time for Kentucky to get a win in Nashville and get a feeling of what a March win feels like that we haven't had so long in the postseason. Kentucky is going to play either 11 seed Georgia, 14 seed Oklahoma. I think in the first one I did pick Oklahoma. We had said this was a torn game. We aren't really sure. I think Kentucky beat in the regular season. This won't back up my take at all, but they beat Oklahoma by 1. They lost to Georgia. On paper, it's like, okay, Kentucky shouldn't dominate this team when I feel like they definitely should. And I think they're going to. You know how we've all been in those Nashville games when Kentucky's down there, and it's like, it is Rupp Arena at home. It's like when Kentucky's playing, and by this time, there's going to be some fan bases already sent home. By this point of the tournament, it's going to be 70%, 65% UK fans in that building, another 20-something% of Tennessee, and then the rest are just mingling up with different teams. It's a Kentucky home game, not even close, not even exaggeration. And I think Kentucky beats whoever gets in front of them between that matchup. And what I had earlier was Oklahoma. So Kentucky beats Oklahoma and advances on to Bama the next night.
Yeah, I think Kentucky beats Georgia or beats Oklahoma. But you said not 20% Tennessee when Tennessee's playing. You're saying just that night.
Most of the time, but for the
Tennessee is way more than 20%. Like when Kentucky and Tennessee played, it was almost 50-50 a couple of years ago. So a lot more Tennessee fans will be there. But that night, obviously, there won't be any Tennessee fans really in the building.
Wouldn't be a whole lot for that one. I mean, there probably will be some, but
the next day it'll be a lot of Tennessee fans. It's 50-50 for sure.
It's impressive. Tennessee's turnout for this thing, like Kentucky's impressive everywhere, but like Tennessee's turnout is impressive for this. Like, assuming Kentucky wins Thursday night and you hit Friday, oh my gosh, yeah. If you take an 80% of that arena, 40-40 Kentucky, Tennessee, I might selfishly say 35-25. Does that math add up? No, it does not. Either now, just a little edge that ain't mathing, the edge a little bit to Kentucky, but like Tennessee, yes, they're right there second. They have a great turnout.
Yeah, I take Kentucky to win against either team, and then I think Friday goes chalk. I think all 1 through 4 win.
Yeah,
and then I think Bama beats Florida and Auburn beats Tennessee, and then I think Bama beats Auburn again. I'm picking Bama to win the tournament.
They beat them both times, right?
No, they split.
Okay. Yeah. Tim, what about you? Kentucky versus either Oklahoma or Georgia?
Give me the Cats.
Let's go.
Yeah,
well done, Tim.
I got him. I gotta give them to the Cats. There's no way we're gonna have Pope not get a March win on his first season.
I agree, man. It's, we argued for a long time. We've kind of lost it over the last few weeks, the whole divine intervention of all the stuff that was taking place. Like, things are just too good to be true for a little while. Surely the basketball gods based in Kentucky, don't let them go down there and beat the first game. Surely not, man. That would just be stab to the heart, man. So I'm right there with you. So Kentucky advances on. I think we're all in agreement to Friday playing Bama. So let's make our predictions with that. I think you just said a minute ago, Michael, you're picking Bama to beat Kentucky. I think I am too. Is that what you said, Michael? Okay, Tim, what about you? Bama, Kentucky.
Yeah, we're 0 for 2 against them. That first game was, really good, but Bama's on a hot streak. They're getting better and better. I got Bama.
I am picking Bama too, but can I make the case for Kentucky? Can I be a homer for just a second? So they lost to Bama by 5-7 at home, reaching right around, I think it was 102-97. And one of our star players were out that day. I can't remember. And it shouldn't have been that close. We put up a good fight at home. And then on the road, we didn't have Robinson at Bama. We didn't have Robinson. We didn't have Butler. Obviously didn't have Kerr. It was respectable for a little while, right around 8 points, that kind of between 5 and 10 points that whole second half before Bama just got hot and put us away in the last 5 minutes. But man, without Jackson Robinson and Butler, you would think that Bama just comes in and beats you by 20. And Kentucky's kept it, gave a fighting effort in both of those matchups. I don't think we get steamrolled by Bama 25. I think Kentucky loses, but it's by like 12 to 15. And then if you get some free throws and stuff, makes it like 16, 17.
No, they all played. Lamont and Jackson both played.
At home.
They both were in double digits. It was such a good game. Like it could have gone either way. And then I distinctly remember 3 minutes left. Bama went on like a 9-0 run or something.
Yes.
And then it just switched. They had back-to-back threes.
Great game. You know what I'm saying? Like that, Kentucky put up a good fight if you take out that stretch. So like, it ain't like we've been
at home. And then down there, down there they played pretty well too. Yeah. It was a single-digit game a little bit.
Owe was the one that he had 2 points that entire game. So
so that's
probably the reason
that
he fouled out and Colin Chandler fouled out. So you on top of Kerr, Lamont, and Jackson not playing, you had 5 guys out at the end of that game.
Yeah, and then we had Amari Williams sitting out forever. You don't have Butler, Robinson, like all that piled on top of you. You had a somewhat reachable fight at Bama. Yeah, Bama. Listen, I'm not saying Bama's the best team out of both of those, but like things have to go a lot right for Kentucky to win. But I don't think it's impossible. But I am going Bama all with you all as well. Did you say Bama too, Tim?
Yeah.
Before I let y'all hop out of this, we hit right at an hour. I love this talk about SEC tournament. Right on point. Throwing it on you, Michael. Who's your SEC tournament winner? Go.
Oh, I thought you were going to give a different question. No. I thought he was going to say best bar on Broadway. Go.
That too. Go.
I'll say Bama's going to win it, and best bar is Aldean's. Go, Tim.
Auburn, Aldean's.
Hey.
Bama and Blake Shelton's or not Blake Shelton, I'm sorry, Kid Rock's bar. He's got the 4 or 5 floors. He's got the first 2 right there. I saw Kid Rock in the 2 SEC tournaments ago. I saw him. I was upstairs. He came in the back. He came from a back door, went over across the back wall to another back door. I'm like, what the? Kid Rock? What? And he didn't say hey to nobody. He just went in and out. And I was like, I felt like for a moment I was the only one that saw him. I'm like, dang, these Jack and Cokes are hitting pretty hard. But no, it was him. Yeah, it was wild. But Broadway's phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. We all agree.
It's a bummer with these late games. We're not going to be able to go out, man. We'll be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last year we got to go back-to-back nights because, we go on Friday night and then or Thursday night, whatever it was, and our schedule got clear for the whole weekend. So we had a lot of Broadway experience last year. That was some fun. We had some good nights going down there on Broadway. Hopefully we get those again, but like not in the form that we got last time. Like, I guess no, either way, man. Yeah, we are playing the light game every single night, man. Maybe – if we get a win, we can go celebrate on Broadway and it'd be 1 a.m. I'm down for that.
Oh man, there'd be plenty of blue out there.
Yeah,
after those games.
But guys, that's about it. We've made it. The first season of Mark Pope regular season is over. Hitting the SEC tournament, one of the most fun conferences, best conferences ever been. It's going to be a phenomenal tournament. Great game after great game. I know. Though you picked the worst game on here of Arkansas and South Carolina, you still have the whole Arkansas Cal. Like people are gonna watch that still. Like this, it's gonna be fun, man. And then you pick the most boring 2 teams, Oklahoma and Georgia, and then we don't know who's gonna win between those. Like I'm ready, man. It's here. Let's Kentucky. This fan base needs a win. It's time to get some postseason win under our belt. And I'm going Kentucky wins first game SEC tournament, loses second game, and then March. I don't know. It's too early, Ben. We'll see what our draw is, but. Before we sign out of here, guys, any last thoughts before we hit Nashville?
Don't think so. Best time of the year. I'm glad it's here.
Best time of the year, man. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody watching this. Please share this. If you see us in Nashville, say hey to us. Come up to us. Thank you for watching this. Please share this everywhere. Cats coverage on Facebook for all the tournament coverage. Michael Epps TV on Twitter. Fox 56. Tim Smith CC right on Twitter. Yep. I knew I had that right.